Welcome to the Franchise Frontier, the podcast where we explore the evolving franchise landscape, dive into latest industry trends, and share actionable tools and tactics to help you build and grow your business.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Franchise Frontier podcast, where we explore the world of business ownership, unlocking keys to success while uncovering common pitfalls to avoid. Today, we're excited to welcome Derek Witt. Derek is the president of our strategic partnerships at Horsepower Brands. Z Partnerships is one of our many Z services that help franchisees solve common business problems. We're excited to have Derek on the show. Can't wait to dive into the insights. So, Derek, welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
So, for everybody listening, what if instead of starting a business and knocking on doors, those doors were somewhat cracked for you, somewhat open for you? Today, we're looking and diving into some of the advantages in franchising of access to relationships, partnerships, and opportunities that most business owners spend years trying to build. Obviously, Derek, you are a part of our strategic partnerships, but give us your background a little bit. And how did you get into the building of partnerships at Horsepower Brands?
Sure. Thanks, Dave. So I've spent the last 15 years of my career in franchising. Something about franchising stuck with me. I would say it goes back to my father. My dad was a small business owner, and he took a risk to go out on his own to build a business. It wasn't a franchise model, but I got to see the hills, the valleys that he would go through to try to make a better life for himself and for his family. And that stuck with me. And when I got into franchising, just by really luck, as it would have it, I really came to appreciate the risks that franchisees take to go out and build a better life for themselves. And I think franchising is such a great vessel for them to go out and do that. I really do. And so I've thoroughly enjoyed the experiences of working with franchisees, getting to know them, getting to know their families, their stories, their why of why they got into business, and specifically why they chose a franchise model. So that was the hook. I was hooked from that standpoint. And the last 10 years, again, still in franchising, all on the franchisor side, I've been singularly focused on strategic partnerships. I've gotten to see firsthand the impact that strategic partnerships can have on a franchise organization. And it's tremendous. It really is. I enjoy getting to know these franchisees. Getting to have a role is my intent in their success, right? By specifically my area of focus, and that's strategic partnerships. And so that's stuck with me. And I've remained in that area for the last 10 years. And strategic partnerships is something that is, again, just something that I can see the impact that it can bring to a franchise organization. And that ultimately led me to Horsepower Brands.
Well, let's start simple. I don't think this is necessarily talked about enough. So how would you define a strategic partnership in a business?
Yeah, it's a great place to start, right? So, a strategic partnership is, first and foremost, it's something that's formalized. It's two organizations that come together that agree that one of them has needs, the other one has solutions, and they formally come together to agree that a partnership is mutually beneficial for both sides. And by forming into a partnership, there is mutual gain to be had there, right? I think at the core essence, that is what a strategic partnership is.
And so, I know people talk about, we have these type of partners or vendor partners, those type of things. What separates, and you look at it, true partnership from just a referral or, say, a vendor relationship?
I think it's the level of commitment, the level of collaboration that both organizations commit to that partnership. In a transactional relationship or just a standard vendor relationship, there's very little commitment. It's here's what we do. Here's what our needs are. You're welcome to do business with us. Rather, a strategic partnership, both sides sense that there is, by collaborating, mutual gain to be had that can benefit both organizations. And so that's the key difference there. And I think the level of commitment, the level of resources that both sides put into it, is what clearly defines why one is strategic and one is transactional.
And so let's bring it down to business ownership. Like, why are partnerships, strategic partnerships in general, so powerful for business growth?
It's all about having a competitive advantage, a strategic advantage. I think a franchise model, right, allows us to have this department, allows us to have this team, and to build strategic partnerships and be able to offer those to franchisees gives us a competitive advantage. There's plenty of mom and pop companies out there that, all respect, go out there and they try to build a business for themselves. But to have a localized owner, a local business owner that has that competitive advantage by having a strategic partnership, a relationship that's built at a corporate level, is a difference maker. It just is, and it's something that, again, provides that competitive advantage for a local franchisee to be able to come in and separate themselves from the other companies that they have in their market.
So in the franchise model, have you found, you might not know the answer to this, but have you found that it also maybe increases like their speed to market?
Absolutely does. Yeah, it absolutely does. This is something to where when you can come in and be a part of an organization that has strategic partnerships, you have an easier access, a better ability to get out of the gates, right? To get out, and that's so crucial. And it's one of the things that I've always seen with other franchisees, and in my experience in the last 15 years with franchisees, those that can come out of the gates and get that confidence early on, build their business at an earlier stage quicker than somebody else that's trying to start a similar type business, are the ones that are going to have staying power, the ones that are going to be around for a long time. And so having strategic partnerships that you can tap into from day one is a tremendous competitive advantage that these franchisees can have, that allows them to, again, come up to speed faster, as you said.
Yeah. So truthfully, it isn't just it's not just helpful. It's somewhat of a growth accelerator.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. We want to create partnerships that have immediate impact. These are partnerships that are already falling into the mold of what these franchisees, what they're the models that they're buying into, right? These are partnerships that are already geared towards from day one, that allow them to come in and tap into them, and be ready to perform out the gates, because they're not any different than really what the blueprint that's already been created for them to go out and execute, right? These are partnerships that should fall right into their line of services that they're going to be providing from day one. So it's immediate plug and play, if you will.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I would imagine too, for someone listening to this that doesn't understand strategic partnerships, or maybe is just like looking to expand their business, let's get real about it just a little bit. You know, why would a strategic partner, or why are sometimes of these partnerships so hard for small business owners to acquire these partnerships?
It's very hard from a local level. You're just representing yourself at a local level. Now you can tout the fact that you are a franchisee, that you have a national company, but for most franchisees at a local level, it's very hard for them to navigate the waters of a corporate office and being able to convince them to do business with them. Most of these partnerships that we're building have a national reach, at the very least a regional reach, but in most cases, a true national reach. And so what they're looking to is to build partnerships with like-minded national organizations, national businesses that can solve common business needs of their own, right? And so a local franchisee trying to knock on the door of a national retailer, a national a national business, right, that we all see in our markets, has a little bit of a difficulty to be able to convince them to do business with them at a local level. Rather, these decisions are typically made at a corporate level, right? That's where we can come in as a team and build these relationships at a corporate to corporate level, because we can speak to the volume, we can speak to the footprint, we can speak to the overall scope and scalability that we have from our services.
Yeah, and I would imagine that oftentimes when it comes to these strategic partners, call it a home builder, call it an HOA conglomerate, whatever you would, we only see that as the business owner at the local level. We don't even understand that it's owned by a much bigger
Right.
conglomerate or whatever that might be. And so I think, to your point, The person that is in charge of my HOA might have a daughter on my daughter's softball team. However, they don't have the capacity to necessarily create one of those partnerships on a national scale. Might be able to help you with some business on a local scale, but not necessarily on a national scale. And so what does it actually take to get into those rooms with those bigger companies? Does it need to be company to company or corporation to corporation most times?
In a lot of cases, yes. In a lot of cases, it absolutely does. And that's really how you scale it. Now, that's not to say a franchisee can't go out and make the right connections. And we certainly see examples of this. To be honest with you, Dave, a lot of times we get our ideas for strategic partnerships around what we see from what franchisees are doing at their own local levels. A lot of times they've been able to go in and build a localized relationship with ServPro or maybe with Paul Davis. And we can use that. We can leverage that at a national level. So sometimes, yeah, you can. If you're good at networking and you can get into the right rooms, sure you can. But a lot of franchisees, they come into this and they're hyper-focused on getting those first few wins. The idea of them going out and figuring out how to get in with somebody that is of a national scale, but maybe has representation in their market can seem daunting. And so that's where we can come in. We can eliminate those barriers. We can come in at that corporate standpoint and already have the talk track. And again, the know-how to go out and really inform these companies, these big national reach businesses of here's what we can offer you. Here's the footprint. Here's the scope and scalability that we have across our services. Here's all the multiple different service lines that we have out there. And that's really what gets the attention of them to build a national partnership, because that's what these organizations are looking to do, is build something national in scale and national in reach. And that's what we can offer as a department.
And I would imagine that it's not a negative, but oftentimes when you're just starting your business, to use a couple blunt words, you lack credibility necessarily. You don't have a track record yet. It takes time to build trust, and especially when you're trying to jump up the ladder that far. But to your point, being able to leverage the footprint of the overarching company, 9 home service brands, etc., really can spark a conversation that would allow people to have interest. Most of those people at the local level, right? What the word we use might be calling them a gatekeeper per se. But again, I think that also provides a great benefit to starting in the franchise world, where, to your point, you and your team are making these connections. It could be made by you. It could be from some guidance from a franchisee of something that they've had great success with. So it always is evolving. And it's always, it again, goes back to that kind of that plug and play scenario where you're ready to kind of hit the ground running. So it's not just about like wanting the opportunity. It's about giving an opportunity, right? So when you talk about your part of the business, right? So we talked a little bit about strategic partnerships as an overarching thing. So now let's drill it down a little bit and understand it at your level. If there's a reality for most business owners, what happens when you flip on that model when it comes to you and horsepower? Kind of talk about what your team does and how you do it at our level.
So at the most basic sense, we manage the overall health of a strategic partnership. So from the day it's secured, it's educating both sides. How do we build this partnership? How do we make this partnership work? And so I would say it starts at the very earliest stages of really getting this partner up to speed about horsepower brands and our individual brands, all of the different service offerings that we have, making them sure they understand where our footprint is, really giving them, what we do, who we are, and where we're located, right? So that is collaborative approach where we have internally here with marketing to develop collateral to give back to our franchise partners. It's developing creative content, and all of those things to really establish the partnership at the very highest level of here's who we are, here's what we have to offer. Now let's go bring that to market, right? And bringing it to market means how do we then take that information and get that out to their audience so they are looking to buy services from horsepower brands and our respective brands. So that is a process in and of itself. So in the case of, I'll use one example, Associa, right? Associa is a partnership that has in their communities over 33,000 communities across the country. They have over 300 branch offices and 7.5, 8 million homeowners in these 33,000 communities. So it was a very large effort to give them the information about our different brands, our different service offerings, so they can upload these into various platforms, technology platforms that they have available. So we're represented in systems where these people then have access to go out and find, if I need roofing, if I need fencing, who's my preferred partner with Associate? Where do I even go? And so that makes the decision easy for them, right? That's what strategic partnerships is all about, is having a customer, the audience of who the strategic partner is, being able to learn and find who the trusted, endorsed, vetted company is that their parent company or that the person that they bought into supports, that they endorse, right? So that's really where strategic partnerships comes together. From there, it's a matter of educating then internally our brands, right? Our franchisees. How do they go and take action to go out there and help themselves and expand upon the opportunity that we've already created for our strategic partnerships? So at that stage, it's a lot of town halls, group calls, messaging, emails, Teams pages, insider pages to get the word out about this new partnership that we have. That's to generate interest, right? To get some excitement built up and get franchisees starting to ask the question, how do I get involved, right? This sounds interesting to me. What do I need to do next? And then that's where we as a team come together. We start to individually connect with franchisees and analyze the opportunity for their respective markets and inform them of what the partnership opportunity looks like in their market. And from there, it's directly contacting our strategic partner with our franchisees to further the opportunity.
And so when you think about it on a even more drilled down scale, um, what does it mean to be a preferred vendor within a deal like Associa? What does that mean? Obviously, I know that doesn't mean if there's a fence job, you get it. But, talk to people about what that means to be a preferred vendor and why, it kind of gives you a leg up a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. It's not an exclusive partnership, right? There's very few partnerships out there where they are exclusive. So a strategic partnership really gives you that elevated status, right? An endorsed status, a preferred status. What that means to the audience of the strategic partner, whether that's in the case of Serpro, their Serpro franchisees, or Paul Davis, their franchisees, or the case of Associate, their homeowners, that means when they have a need, whether that be roofing, fencing, custom glass, custom blinds, who can they turn to that's already been vetted and trusted and endorsed by their corporate office? Who has their corporate office engaged with at a corporate level, had numerous conversations, gotten to know them, has built trust with them already, so much so that they're going to go out on the line and say, we recommend that you use this company because we trust them. They're a strategic partner of ours. Here's where they're located. Here's their footprint. That means a lot to that audience. And that's where strategic partnerships comes together. So it's a competitive advantage. It's absolutely a strategic advantage to have that hierarchy already, because not every company can go in and get that. They don't offer that to everybody. In fact, these companies are very, very strategic and very specific in how many how many vendor partners they allow in any given space. They don't want to flood it with, 10 different roofing companies. They will only have 2 or 3 roofing companies in there. And that's just because not every roofing company is located in every market.
Yeah, understandable. And this next question I kind of have as you're talking, I'm thinking about it. It's kind of a 2-part question. I in my brain, I'm wondering, what does your team do on a day-to-day? Not like as if you're not doing anything, but how does that focus? Is it looking across the landscape and finding other things? And then as I think about that, how are building these relationships and how do you build these relationships on a national and regional level?
Sure. The day-to-day is fun. Again, this is everybody on my team. We all came from other franchise models, and we've all done strategic partnerships for well over a decade each. So this is right in our wheelhouse. And really, we spend most of our time connecting with our local franchisees, to one, educate them about the partnership, educate them about the opportunities, and then specifically identify with them, how do they get involved? What are the next steps if they want opportunity with one partnership over the other? So we show them the roadmap. We give them the talk track, or in some cases, we actually facilitate the opportunity ourselves. We have partnerships that, again, are franchisee based. They're franchisee based. We go ahead because we already have the talk track. We have the know-how. We have the ability to tell the strategic partner that we're going to be connecting with where they can find our information, when the partnership was formalized, things of that nature. So we can go ahead and reach out to these in advance, knowing that we have a franchisee that's interested, warm up the lead, warm up the opportunity, and really introduce our franchisee to them after the opportunity's already been warmed up for them. That's one example. Another example is directly farming leads. We have some partnerships that like to have leads come directly down from the corporate office to our team, and then our team basically then will farm those leads out to our franchisees. So each partnership is a little different in how it operates, but I would say having conversations, dialogue with franchisees to one, educate them about all of the different partnership opportunities they have in their market and how do they get involved, or how do we get them the lead opportunities, is really where it all comes together. I would say there's no greater joy in our seats than being able to arrange an opportunity with a franchisee that allows them to showcase their services. It allows us to step back. We've already done the introduction, allow the franchisee to shine, allow them to showcase. I'll give you one example if that's okay. We had one with Associa, the Associa partnership. Again, millions of homeowners. We were invited to a networking event out in Columbus, Ohio, and it was at a Top Golf. And there was community managers there that oversee their communities. And we partnered with the local roofing franchisee that was in Columbus, Ohio. They came to the event. They worked the room. They did their part. They absolutely owned the opportunity and met some great contacts. A couple months later, they were signing a $650,000 roofing opportunity for an associate community, for like the actual community property itself. That's the fun part. That's where this all comes together. So that's the more that we can get the franchisees involved and really get them the opportunity in their hands to let them further it. They're the service experts. Allow them that opportunity, right? But to kind of, I think, answer the last part of your question, it's always what's next, and I would say probably falls on my shoulders more than anybody of the other team members, but half of my time is mining through CRM data that my director puts together for me and understanding where, as an organization, where are our brands going? What types of opportunities are they exploring? What types of opportunities do they want to get into? And having discovery calls and discovery meetings with franchisees, groups of franchisees, brand leaders to understand what are the right types of partnerships that we should be exploring. And then going out there and connecting the dots, reaching out to these organizations. It's not all fun. It's a painstaking process. It's to put myself in the shoes that franchisees have to wear too. It's a lot of cold calling. It's a lot of outreach that you don't always get return calls, but that's where it starts. And you do get through, and you do get to make those connections, and you do get that opportunity then to explain to somebody the opportunity, the value proposition that we have as an organization to be a strategic partner with them.
Yeah, and I think that to your point, it definitely it's a leg up. It's your team is basically opening those doors to scale, as opposed to them having to knock down 100 doors in order to get an opportunity just in general. As a franchise owner, what does it look like in their market? If I'm looking into business ownership and I am looking at, horsepower brands and call it Z partnerships, what is something I should understand about what it means for me in my market?
It's knowing that there is a team that at the corporate level is out there trying to help me grow my revenue, and knowing that team exists and having direct access to them to understand the lead opportunities that I could perhaps generate with them for my business. There's trust involved, that we're out there, we're building the right partnerships. And again, we do a ton of collaboration here with our brand teams to make sure that these are the right fits. If we go out and we secure a partnership and go through all of this effort to build it, is it the right fit for the large majority of their network? And so for franchisees coming into this, for new business owners, for them to know that there is this team that exists, that they can walk into a model and have strategic partnership opportunities perhaps in their market that they can tap into day one, if it's of the right fit for them, then there's a path for that to happen. It's to me, it's having that immediate competitive advantage, that strategic advantage over the other competitors that I would have in my local market.
And in your experience, how have you seen franchisees have success when they lean into these partnerships?
There's a direct correlation to those franchise owners that invest in the relationship building. 100%. Everything that they do, everything that is going to contribute to their success is going to be around their ability to build relationships. Strategic partnerships is no different. The franchisees that embrace the partnership opportunities, that will go to the locations that we've already warmed up the opportunity for, or take the talk track that we've given them, all the tools that they need to go out to and be successful to build a greater relationship with them. The ones that lean in on that invest in that, see the successes. And the ones that don't, the ones that want to assume that things are going to happen, that the phone's going to ring, that just because we're in their systems as a strategic partner, that they're just going to call us, tend to have a tougher time to see the early successes. 100%. So there's a direct correlation to those owners that embrace the partnership, see the opportunity for themselves, and go out and capitalize on it.
And I would imagine, if you're just talking about, could be first year, second year, it doesn't necessarily matter, but I would imagine the lean in and the buy-in to the relationship with the strategic partner, it really changes compared to somebody that wants to just try to do it alone.
It 100% does. It 100% does. And it's just, again, they can go out, they can try to build the relationships. Some will find the success. There's business owners out there that no doubt have that experience, that have that relationship building capability, that will go out and they will find the successes. But lean in on the team that's out there helping them do it, right? And going out there and building these strategic partnerships. Embrace what they have to offer if it seems like a good fit for you and your business and where your business is at, because we can give you that competitive advantage over the other local operators that you would have in your market.
So all in all those things being equal, this really just isn't support. It's somewhat of a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
So when you look at the future for Z partnerships and the relationships that you're making, what are some things that you're looking forward to for the future?
It's a great question, and it's always a question that we're faced with here is what's next. It's what's going to be the new shiny penny, and we have a lot of ideas. I would say the ones that we're most excited about. I want to expand the retail space. We have one retail partner who's a strategic partnership for us, and the results that we're seeing from the early stages of this partnership are tremendous. And we only have one brand right now that's working with this strategic partner. So we're going to lean into it and look to get more brands involved, more franchisee locations, because the opportunity is absolutely there. So that's expanding upon the retail space. I would say the other biggest area that we need to be out building partnerships with, that more franchisees are asking about, is in the home builder space. Home builders, I think, present a tremendous opportunity for our franchisee locations. I think for multiple brands to get involved. We had a call this morning with a franchisee that is making some waves in his local market with a home builder. And just from following and just from listening to him and what he's able to build over the last few months, I think is tremendous. So to bring that to a national level with multiple brands, multiple franchisee locations, I think is an easy avenue for us to go out and to continue to explore. We're already having the conversations. We've been making connections. It's just finding the right fit there, the right strategic partner that has the right footprint and the right vision for the opportunity that we could build mutually with them as a strategic partner.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is most small businesses don't fail because they can't do the work. Most times they fail because they don't have enough opportunities to do the work.
Right.
So we appreciate it. We appreciate you and what you do at Z Partnerships, and we look forward to the future. Thanks, everybody, for joining the Franchise Frontier podcast. Remember, the playbook's out there. Are you willing to run it? Please like and subscribe when you get a chance, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.